Hello everyone, my name is Tara and welcome to Aligning to Love. In this channel I aim to spread hope, joy, peace, and love to the world by sharing goodness and love within my life. In this video I wanted to share my personal and family life updates and events and the signs that I saw along the way. In the last video I posted, I was sharing my life events and experiences that formed the pathway of my spirituality. And I had been planning on doing a part 2 section of that for this video tonight, but there were some other events this week that I just really wanted to share, and I feel like I need to listen to my heart and just talk about those things. And so that's what I'm going to do tonight. Right now it's October 9th, but I wanted to start on Monday of this week, which was October 5th. And with our new move and schedules, my husband gets every other weekend off. And so on the weekends that he doesn't have off, he either gets a Monday off or a Thursday off. And so the 5th on Monday was his day off. And my husband and my daughter had been battling a cold for the last 2 weeks. I feel like they've been passing it back and forth to each other. And on top of that, my husband had been dealing with his ears being plugged and just feeling really awful. And even though it had been a couple weeks and he's starting to feel better, every day that he goes home from work, he comes back, he's more tired, and the energy takes more energy to go to work and to get through a day because you're not feeling 100%. But I was pumped because having him home, I felt like I could get a lot more accomplished within our household, and he could help watch our daughter Juniper, or he could help with the chores, and which we did. And so Monday felt like such a productive day. And a lot of this summer with me, I've been going through these ebbs and flows of feeling super productive or either feeling so just drained, completely drained, but in a completely much more exhausted state than the usual tired. And for me, I feel like it's because of my spiritual awakening. Like there's some days where I just don't have any energy to unpack or to declutter or to get organized with our life. And on the days that I do feel productive and that I have energy to tackle things, I just know I need to take advantage of it because I don't know how long it will last. And so Monday was one of those days. It finally felt like our house was the way that I had hoped it would be ever since we moved in. The living room was put together. It was finally getting decluttered, and really so happy that it was the way that I wanted it to be. And it had been since last week, but there's always more things that I find that I can declutter, and each time we can get things out of the house from the move, it just makes me feel more and more at peace. And the guest bathroom was the way that I wanted it to be. The kitchen was continually getting decluttered. We had just cleaned up a bunch of dishes from meals that we didn't get around to cleaning up from. And I just love tackling the house before we go out and enjoy the day, because that means when we come home, we can just be at peace. We don't have to worry about anything and just enjoy our environment. So that was really amazing. And the weather had been so peculiar because even though we're in October and it's towards fall, we had an 80-degree day. And so when we finally did get out to enjoy the weather, it was really hot. And I love hot days. My husband is not too much of a fan of those days over 75, but for me, knowing that the summer's coming to an end, I'll take as much heat as I can before we go into the fall crisp weather and on to winter with the snow. And then Monday night, I even got a video out, which is always such a happiness. And for me, it just feels really good because I don't always get the chance to get them out, and sometimes after we put Juniper to bed, I don't have the energy left to do it. And so I just felt like I was on a cloud nine. Felt like I just had the riding the high of that day, and I was just so happy. And then this is what's been happening to me throughout the summer. And I feel like it's my spiritual awakening. There are days where I feel so productive, I feel so efficient, and I'm so proud of myself with what we've been accomplishing and what I get done in a day. And then there's other days where I just feel like I'm not in the flow of God or the universe, and things just feel 10 times harder or 100 times harder than they should. And no matter what I do, I just can't get back on track with having a smooth day. So that's what Tuesday felt like, which was the 6th, October 6th. Monday was October 5th. And so on Tuesday, because I felt so great on Monday and we got so much accomplished within the house, I was really looking forward to going to an event for Juniper so that she could meet other kids in the area, and I could maybe meet some other parents with the same kids in their age range. And so I was determined to go to a read aloud in our nearby town. And Juniper and I ate breakfast, we got dressed, and we headed over there. And I was also letting my parents know that, hey, we're going to go to this read aloud if they wanted to join us, but I had forgotten that they were getting their heater replaced, and so they weren't able to do it. They had a very busy day, and I was late getting out of the house. I was like, the read aloud was only 10 minutes away, but I left with only 5 minutes to spare. And so I'm like, okay, we'll be a little bit late, but hopefully it won't be a big distraction. And usually, if you've seen my other videos, you know that I have been a kindergarten, first grade, and second grade teacher throughout my career. And so I'm usually a type A personality. I like to be early, I like to be organized. And throughout having a child and being exhausted with this move and trying to organize my life, I've been a lot more lenient and also trying to give myself grace if I'm not fully organized as I want to be, or I'm not on time as I want to be. And so I'm like, okay, well, whatever happens will happen. And we get there, and we get to the library, and they say that, oh, are you here for the read aloud? And I say, yes, I'm sorry I'm late, but we were looking forward to joining that. And the librarian looks at us and she's like, oh, no worries. The read aloud person is also running late, and so she's not here yet. And I'm like, great. I'm like in the flow with the universe. Everything worked out. And so I take Juniper to the back room where it's the children's room. There's toys, there's coloring pages and books and puzzles for her to play with. And I'm finally starting to relax and really be mindful and start playing with her. And then I figure, okay, 10 minutes, the read aloud person will be here, and Juniper will get some of that exposure. Hopefully there will be more kids. But the library was very empty. There had been a meeting going on with some of the board members, but I feel like I crashed that, because when Juniper and I came in, I think it was ending anyway, but people ended up leaving, and then the library was very, very quiet, and we were the only two people in there other than the librarian. And so I'm like, my daughter is only 19 months old, and so her attention span isn't very long. So I figured, okay, I'll wait 10 minutes, see if anyone comes and joins us, and nobody did. And then 20 minutes went by, and the read aloud person wasn't here yet. It wasn't at the library. And the librarian said, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on, but she does have children of her own, and maybe something was happening, or maybe they got stalled in some way. And honestly, that didn't faze me, but I did realize that my daughter was going to be at the end of her attention span, so we were probably I told the librarian we were probably gonna head out soon. And so I did wait 30 minutes before we left, and unfortunately the read aloud person didn't come, and I was just disappointed that I wasn't able to get Juniper into a more social setting that day, but I wasn't too big of a deal. And so Juniper and I were walking out of the library, and this is where everything started happening for me. They had big stone steps, 3 of them, as you left the library, and the 2 first ones were solid stone steps, but the 3rd one was only half of so like all of the stone steps were this big, and then the last one was like half the size, and it was only on the left side, the left side going down. When I was walking down, I was holding Juniper, and I didn't realize, and so my foot was on the edge of that half one, and it slid down, and I was terrified, because in my mind I was looking at Juniper as I was going forward. I felt like I was going to be falling, and I saw her back start to go backwards. I saw her little neck start to go up with the motion of falling, and everything else was feeling so fast I couldn't catch my body, but I was looking at her, and that was going in slow motion for me. And I was determined in my mind. I'm like, I'm not letting her hit the ground. I'm not going to land on her. And I don't know what happened, but somehow I was able to catch my footing, and I put my knee down, and I was able to pull her up. So my knees hit the ground, but her body and her head did not, thankfully. And I was still a little like stunned, because I haven't tripped in so long, and especially carrying her, I've never done that either. And my knee really hurt because I landed on gravel, and I was still kind of like shaky when I was getting up, but I was just so thankful that she didn't get hurt. And so I was still kind of a little frazzled. Nobody was there. Nobody saw me fall with her. And so I had put my phone on my car, and I was looking her over, making sure she was fine, and then I put her in the car seat. Somebody else drives up, and then she had been she was in the board meeting, and she came over, and she's like, "Oh, did the read aloud work out for you?" And I said, "Oh, unfortunately the person wasn't able to make it, and so we're heading out." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, and I hope you come back again and try it again another time." And I said, "Oh yeah, we'll definitely try it again." And I said that to the librarian as well. And so I got distracted. So I talked to her, I said goodbye to her, and I got Juniper in her car seat, and then I go in the car and I start to back up. I completely forgot that I had set my phone down, because that's not something I usually do. I usually just put it in my pocket, and I put it in the car when I put Juniper in. But I was just frazzled from the trip and the fall that I had. And so it wasn't even registering to me that I was forgetting something until I was halfway home. And halfway home, I remember on the road, I was getting this like visual that I'm like, where's my phone? I don't have my phone. And I was also thinking, I don't feel like there was a safe spot to turn around or do a U-turn into somebody's driveway. It just wasn't. There was a lot of traffic that morning, and I didn't want to make anything complicated, especially being still kind of like frazzled from the fall. And so I finally pull into our driveway, and again, it's only 10 minutes away, so it's not a finally thing. For me, it felt like a long drive. And I realized, okay, I left my phone. I left my phone there. It must have fallen off the car. And so I turn around, I go back to the library, and I'm just praying. And the ride home and then the ride back to the library, I was just thanking God. I was thanking the universe. I was thanking all of my loved ones, whoever was part of making sure that Juniper didn't get hurt. I was just thanking them for not having that fall be as worse as it could have been. And then so I pull into the library, and I'm thinking, okay, I really need to be careful, because either someone else's car could have crushed my phone, or if I try to pull in and I don't see my phone, I could crush my own phone with the car. And there were leaves on the ground, so it was hard to see where it could be. And unfortunately, I saw someone else's car park right where mine had been, and I'm like praying that my phone isn't crushed. And I drive my car back to the other parking lot in the back of the library, and I walk up with Juniper to where that car was parked, and luckily I see my phone underneath the car's back of the rear of the car, and nobody was near it. They were in the library, and so I picked up the phone and I start standing up with Juniper, and then the person who owns the car came back out, and they're like, "Oh, are you okay?" And I had told them the story that I tripped with Juniper, and I forgot my phone, and then that the phone, thank God they didn't drive over the phone, and they're like, "Wow, that's really fortunate," and they're like, "I think that you should take this as a sign that you didn't get hurt in the fall. The phone didn't get crushed. I think the lady said, I think you should go home and take it easy and not go out the rest of the day. I think that's a sign." And I'm really big into listening to what other people say when it comes to signs like that, because sometimes I do think that our angels or our loved ones speak through other people. And believe me, but without that person even saying that, I was feeling the same way. And she was really great, and she was like, "I'm so glad I didn't ruin your phone." And I'm like, "Well, even if you did, it wouldn't have been your fault." And I told her I'll probably see her again if I come back to the library next week. And then we said our goodbyes, and I got back in the car. And I was really counting my blessings at that point, because we didn't get hurt, and my phone I have some cracks in my phone, but from previous drops, but nothing from that event of leaving it and having it fall off my car, and then another car pulling over it, but having the tires miss my screen. And so I am just like really, really happy. And on the way home, I was just like thanking the universe and thanking God and thanking whoever was making sure that even though we had rough spots in our day, that it was all working out in the best and the highest way that it could. And I was just so happy. And then we get to this farm, and there was a car that was pulling off into the driveway of the farm. And it's a beautiful fall day in October, and I was looking at the scenery. I was just enjoying the sun and just the farm fields and the mountains. Everything was so beautiful. And I was paying attention to the road too, but I was just so in awe of the beauty around me that I was just like taking it all in. And so I wasn't looking at the car or the license plate in front of me until I had to slow down and wait for the person to pull off in the farm road. And then as I'm looking down at the car in front of me, their license plate says, "Help for you." And it was just so funny, because the whole drive back I was just saying, "Thank you so much for the help today. Thank you for making sure that things were going smoother than they could be." And to me, having that license plate, like right after I'm saying my gratitude and my thanks for keeping things smooth, it was just a massive sign for me. And I just felt like God, or just like my spirit team, was fully listening to me and trying to say like, "We've got you." And I also thought it was really humorous too. And so that was just, that day I didn't end up going anywhere after that other than taking Juniper for a walk. And we were supposed to get rain that day, and I was really debating, since we didn't get to go to the social outing and Juniper didn't have the read aloud, I'm like, at least I can take her for a walk. And I'm like, I hope it just doesn't start pouring on us when we go out. And luckily it didn't. It started raining like 10 minutes after we got in the door. So again, I was just so happy. And so I just really wanted to tell those events, because sometimes when, I know for me, sometimes we pray and we just really want some spectacular things and unexpected surprises that are amazing to happen to us each day, to be surprised and to be just, having those good feelings and those wonderful unexpected, I don't know what else to say, surprises or instances that make our day that much better. But that day, really reflecting on it, for me, I didn't have a spectacular day, but it was like we were safe and things kept on the status quo when they could have been much worse. And so I just really was so thankful that it stayed at the status quo and that it was a quiet, non-eventful day. And so I just really think that we all need to look at those days where we're like, wow, it was kind of like a mediocre or just nothing happened, and be thankful for those days, because maybe your spirit team is really protecting you and saving you from worse events that could be happening. And so that's one of the big things I wanted to share. And then on Wednesday, which was the 7th, my husband we have been having these battles with getting our insurance figured out, and that literally it's been taking 3 months, and his ears were plugged and he couldn't hear out of one of them. It's been affecting his ability to hear his colleagues, hear us at home, and it just, when you're not feeling good and when you feel like your ear is underwater, it just takes a toll on you. And so he also had messaged me later that day on Wednesday that he had a nurse in the facility that he works with was able to clean both his ears and remove the built up wax that was really causing problems for him. And even though the insurance stuff wasn't completely figured out, he was still able to find a way to do that for him. And so that was a major win for him on that day. And I was really, really thankful. And I know he was just over the moon about that as well. Oh, another thing that happened on Wednesday that I was just really, it just really made my day is that, while Juniper and I were doing errands, we went to the donation center, we dropped off more items that were getting out of the house, and I look for our Christmas outfits really early because we take Christmas pictures for the cards that we send out. And so I was looking around to see if there were any secondhand or just early Christmas outfits for our family. And so we were having a fun time doing that. And I ended up going to an ice cream and sandwich shop. Well, I don't know why I said ice cream. It's a sandwich shop, and they have cookies and sometimes desserts there too, but it's more of a sandwich shop. And we ran into one of the, I don't know what her title was, but she worked at the elementary school that I went to. And I just got to have this amazing conversation with her. And my heart was filled so much to be able to see her and catch up about her life events. She was telling me that she had a daughter that had just gone off to college, and they were celebrating that she was continuing her education. And even though it's a hard transition I've heard that when you're a parent and your children go away, she was really saying that I've been trying to have the mindset that this is a celebration and that it should not be a sad event. And I just thought her outlook was really, really inspiring. And she was always positive, and she was always really heartfelt when I went to school. And I always remember feeling safe, and that she would really listen and comfort kids and students that were having a hard time. And it was just so, it was so comforting to see her and to introduce her to my daughter, and to know that she raised her kid in the same town that we're now in. And she's like, this is such a great area to raise your family, and it's so good to see you. So that was a really fun run into that. We couldn't have planned it better. It was just random timing, and I don't believe in coincidences, so I was just really happy that that happened on Wednesday. And then today is, so that was Wednesday, October 8th, and today was October 9th. And again, I just felt so happy for today. We have been trying, like I said, the day before that I just talked about, to get our insurance underway and organized. We know that we're covered, but we'd never got the cards. We've gotten our prescription cards, but not the actual insurance card. And I was on the phone for many times today trying to figure it out. And I just got some really good news from a nurse through the program of Vermont and New Hampshire Strong Families. And she was able to get our daughter into a pediatric office that we had been really hoping to get her transitioned to now that we're in this area. And so hearing that good news when I had been working so hard and I didn't feel like I was making any headway in it was so amazing. I was so thrilled to hear that news, and I thanked her immensely with helping with that transition, because I don't think without her support it would have happened. And so that was incredible news. And then by the end of the 3 to 4 hours that I had been working on getting the insurance figured out, because we had bills from the past doctor's office back in White River that we needed to take care of, and just all this fiasco around insurance. It was just really nice. I ended up getting help, and I did get supported, and we finally got the online situation figured out, and updated addresses and updated everything. And so I'm hoping that with everything processed, like knock on wood and fingers crossed, that everything is going to be smooth from here on out. And I was joking with my husband that it only took 3 months and a week to get it figured out. And so some other good news, I was sorry about that. Some other good news that happened, it wasn't today, it was actually on Wednesday. My dad had been to the doctor's office, and my husband and I have been trying to get into and transitioned into a doctor's office in this area, and we haven't been having any luck either. And so luckily my father was able to talk to his personal doctor to see if they had any openings, or any of the other fellow doctors had any openings for new patients. And I'm not sure if that's going to work out, but my dad said they're going to make a note on his record and see in a week we can call and see if there's been any updates. And I'm really hoping that we can get into that doctor's office, which would be the same facility as where my daughter got in, except she's just on the pediatric part. But I'm just like so hoping that it all works out. And it's been a long time to try to transition all of our dentists, our doctors, and just get organized enough to feel like we can just enjoy living in this new home. And so this week I feel like we've been working so hard the last 3 months, and we're finally seeing results, and we're finally feeling like things are coming together. And so that's really, I just wanted to share those updates. And the next video I put out, I'll be talking more about the spiritual aspects of my pathway towards spirituality. And also, like I said, I've been seeing angel numbers throughout all of, well, since my 20s, and definitely this last week I've seen so many. I've seen 111 or 1111. Today I saw 222 and 444, and whenever I go out and walk. So yesterday Tuesday when I didn't know whether it was going to rain on us, I saw 222, I saw 333. So seeing those also give me a lot of comfort and a lot of hope that even when I feel like I'm off the flow of the universe, like it just keeps motivating me to keep on plugging away, keep on pushing through, and really just keep giving me hope that it's all going to work out. So I hope any of these stories, whether it's insurance or whether you can just relate to having those ebb and flows of life. I hope you got something out of these stories, whether it was a little bit of humor or just something that you can relate to with frustration. And I hope you all take care. I hope you do something that brings you happiness and peace. And I love you all. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.